Welcome to Toronto Sports Rush, post-game reaction show brought to you by the Bet Rivers Network. The Toronto Maple Leafs have just left the ice. The New Jersey Devils were in town. Before we get to it, please don't forget to like this channel, subscribe to this channel, turn on your notifications, and of course, leave us comments, because I have a feeling that maybe Leafs Nation has quite a few things to say right now. I am joined once again by Pierre McGuire. Pierre, the Toronto Maple Leafs do not look good right now.
I agree.
You're lost in the same thoughts as me. They just don't.
You know, Kyle, tonight was a stinker.
They're
going to have to adjust pretty quick. And I'm going to say right now, Saturday night, for all the vitriol that was out there and the Anthony Stolar's post-game diatribe and everything else, they kind of earned that punch in the pants on Saturday night, because that was a no-show for probably the last 40 minutes of that game. Mm-hmm. Tonight was a no-show for almost 55 minutes. And that can't happen in back-to-back situations. You know, a teammate calls you out, you have a team meeting, everybody says the right stuff, you're supposed to show up and compete, you know it's a big game, and you don't do it. There's one thing that really irked me tonight, though, and I'm curious as to what you think. Austin Matthews is a captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Mm-hmm. Jack Hughes was a first overall pick, just like Austin Matthews was. They're both part of Team USA hockey. You would think that Austin Matthews would want to push back to say, you know what, I'm the man for USA. Jack Hughes tonight said to Austin Matthews, no, dude, you're not the man. I'm the man. He ran that game tonight. And Austin Matthews had no response.
Pierre, the truth is we can only react to what we see. And what I saw tonight was that Hughes is the best American player in the NHL right now. You know, he proved that on the ice tonight against the Toronto Maple Leaf team, and we said this in our messages. I'll be honest with you, Pierre, I haven't even brought up my notes, because notes refer to micro analysis of what's happening on the ice, but this is a team with a macro problem, and we said that in the text. They look completely lost right now, and that starts with 34 and works its way down through the roster.
Well said. The only other American player that I would tell you right now is rivaling Jack Hughes is Dylan Larkin in Detroit. Sure. And he did a tap dance on this Toronto team too in back-to-back situations. So I'm not saying that Austin's the big part of the problem, but you would think at some point Austin would say, you know what, I'm tired of these guys pushing around. I'm going to push back a little bit. Now, to be fair, I wonder about the line. Matthew Nye doesn't look right now. And I don't know if that's fatigue. I don't know if that's too cool for school. I don't know what it is. He's got to be better. There's nothing happening on the right side right now. And that's not a shot at Max Domi or Easton Cowan and Mateus Michelli. The right side needs to be adjusted on that line. There's no question. And anybody that says they don't miss Mitchell Marner, they miss Mitchell Marner. They do. You can say whatever you want. And the power play is Exhibit A. They miss Mitchell Marner.
Pierre, there can be no doubt that is exactly what we're seeing right now. There was a way he could spread a defense out on the ice to get guys open. And right now, if you look at their power play, they're forced out on the perimeter until the end of the game tonight, when they actually had an effective power play, when it was too little too late. We talked about this. They played 4 good minutes. They were minutes 15 through 19 of the third period. And it's the presence of Mitchell Marner is sorely missed. And it's such an unfortunate thing to say, because both you and I were very loud about the fact that we believe this team would be okay without him. Well, they're not. They're not okay without him, because no one stepped into the roles that he facilitated on the ice for them for years now. And they've also not shaped, for all the talk, there is no new identity around this team. This is not the team playing Craig Berube style. They're getting outshot night after night. They're getting out hit. They're getting out everything right now. And it wasn't a good look for Stolarz. I mean, he was hung out to dry in a lot of that, let's be really clear. But he didn't have his best tonight either. And on the heels of that blow up, there is a systemic problem with this hockey team.
Well said. Agreed. And here's the other part too, that really, this was supposed to be a team that could grind. This was supposed to be a team that would play ground and pound and get it deep, and they would force you to defend rather than attack. We never saw that tonight. The New Jersey Devils, and it all started again with Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, and Palat. Those guys dominated the game. They did. They dominated the game. But did you ever see Luke Hughes get pulverized into the boards? Did you ever see Brett Pesce get driven into the boards? Did you ever see Brendan Dillon get beaten into the boards? No, as a matter of fact, their defense were beating the Leaf forwards up the ice to create odd man rush situations. Brendan Dillon's goal is exhibit A of that. And so that's a problem. But here's another one that I wanted to throw by you, Kyle. I'm just curious what you thought of it. I was shocked that they challenged the first goal. I was absolutely shocked. I'm like, what are they seeing in the video room? That was crazy.
What that felt like was a desperate move, and it's not. I don't. They have so many people in place to do that, and like to be responsible for that, and to provide feedback back to the bench. And it just seemed like, sorry, we're throwing Hail Marys now. Like, what is it? Like, knuckle up a little bit here. This is. It just doesn't seem like the move you make in that moment when you should have video footage clearly telling you, okay, game on. We got a something bigger afoot here. Pierre, we did text. I'll give them this. We texted and agreed that the first goal looked like a direct response to what Stolarz had said. They played. That was the last time in this game I saw them play hard low. You know what I mean? And all those low battles you just referred to, they lost all of them after that goal. They were outworked. They were outskated. They looked like the slower hockey team. Sure, New Jersey's now 6 straight, but the Toronto Maple Leafs are supposed to be right there with this New Jersey team. They're not.
No, they're not right now. They're not. And no. Jake Allen made some great saves. I give Jake a lot of credit. I mean, a lot of people thought New Jersey would start to go down, when they lost their goalie, and Jake Allen stepped in, and he's done a great job. There's one other thing, too, that I don't understand the concept of Simon Benoit at the end of the game. I know he's frustrated. I know he's mad. So he goes and attacks Brian Halloran, and Halloran punches him right in the face and knocks him down. That epitomizes what Toronto tried to be tough at the end, and they actually got beat up in their own building. All this stuff, I don't know how they're going to fix it. They're going to have to get together. I haven't seen Craig Berube too upset on the Leaf bench, but after the second period, when he left the bench, he looked angry. That's about as angry as I've seen him look in a long time.
Okay, well, I'm going to force you to step back into your coach's shoes here for a second, Pierre. Let's talk about Berube right now, because they gave up those 3 quick ones in the second, which was an absolute backbreaker, not just literally on the scoreboard, but optically. And then they call the timeout, and then they come back and they get one pretty quickly. Michelli's first as a Leaf. Nice looking goal, right?
Yes.
However, that was it. That was it from that point. So if you're the coach of this team, like what are you saying right now to turn this around? Because we credited Berube so many times for how infrequently last year they played back-to-back poorly. They've now played, let's be real, most of this season fairly poorly. What are you changing? What are you suggesting from ownership on down?
It's early to panic, and they're still on paper a very good team. They are. On paper, they're a very good team. We're getting close because of the expectation level that's been built up, and the term that was used, change the DNA. So they said, we feel like we've changed the DNA, but we haven't seen the results yet. So you're getting close now, just based on my years in the league, where something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the coach who's going to get fired, and it's not going to be it's going to be a trade. And what this is reminding me of a little bit, last year, if you remember, the Ottawa Senators were kind of good. They were kind of bad. They were kind of good. They were kind of bad. And then all of a sudden they said, we know what's wrong with our team. Everybody's comfy and cozy. We're trading Josh Norris. We're scaring this team straight. We're trading one of the most popular guys in our dressing room out of town. And they did. And they got their attention in a hurry. Those guys liked it there. Trust me, I worked with those guys. They liked being there. They loved the dressing room. They loved the new ownership group. They loved everything. When they saw Josh go, they're like, holy moly. If they can do that to him, what are they going to do to me?
So Pierre, like what you're suggesting here is, let me reverse this, rewind this a little bit for a second, just to previous conversations we've had about this team. Berube comes in and he has about half of the roster he needs to play Craig Berube hockey. Yes. They make offseason moves, and pretty much it was agreed unanimously that they've now built a team more in Berube's image, but that team is not performing in his image, and all the points you've made tonight back that up. They're visible to all of us. We see it. So therefore, what do they need to do? Who do they need to deal, or maybe not even throwing someone under the bus like that? Who do they need to bring in to fit that mold better and wake these guys up?
I'd like to know how far away Scott Lawton is from playing, because I think Scott Lawton's part of this whole thing. Not having what a train, and I think you would agree, Kyle. We worked a lot of preseason games. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Scott Lawton looked really good this preseason. He was good. He looked more like the player I thought Toronto was getting last spring than what he played last spring. He didn't play very well last spring. He's played well this fall, but he's hurt. I think when he goes in the lineup, it changes the dynamic. But I think they need to figure out, why is Matthew Nyes off to a pedestrian start? What's irking Austin Matthews? John Tavares maybe has been the most consistent Leaf forward, I think. Morgan Riley's been great. They missed Tanev tonight. We haven't talked about that.
Yeah.
That injury to Tanev hurts them a little bit. I don't know who they have to trade out, but I'll tell you one thing. At some point here, not too far down the road, when they tell us the DNA's changed and they're happy with it and they're not seeing the results, they're going to change the DNA again. You watch. They will.
Pierre, we actually have a comment in the chat right now making an interesting point. Like, who can they really trade? So many guys have a no trade clause on this team. How do you convince someone to waive that to move them out? But who knows if someone maybe wants out of this situation right now, right?
They might. But the other part too is, you know what? If you get to that point, you just bury somebody in the minors. You just
trade by ignorance.
Yeah, you just say, you know what? Okay, we're putting you on waivers and we're burying you in the minors. We're going to bury you. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do that, but if it gets to that point, I just think at some point here, this is a team that needs a wake up, and I don't know how they're going to get it, but they're going to have to do something here pretty quick.
And we what I thought was joking during the game, we were also saying they've got about 7 to 11 days left of coverage being completely dominated by the Toronto Blue Jays. And then look out, because the entire media attention of the city will once again be focused on them. And if they're playing like this a week from now, their season's going to get a lot more difficult on a personal and emotional level for these guys. And it's not going to be easy to take. And it's not going to be unfair either.
No, not unfair at all. One of the things that I do think Craig has to do, and he's probably already done it, but I think he'll have to do it again. He'll have to sit down with Austin and say, you're our guy. You're our MT. You're our meal ticket. What's ailing you? What's bothering you? I saw one shift in the third period. I don't know if you remember, Kyle. He went in on the forecheck. He did a real good job. Then he tried to come back in the back check. And I was like, he might have an illness or something. Like, he might be sick.
Yeah.
He couldn't come back.
Like, and this is a guy, he's a good two-way hockey player.
Oh my gosh, he's a tremendous 200-foot player. So I don't want to beat up on him too bad, because you need to find out. Like, sometimes guys are playing injured. Like, I know a player that played in the NHL with double pneumonia, and he was getting shredded all over the league. Yeah. And finally, I was doing the media, and I said, you know what, stop. You guys don't understand. Like, I'm not going to break a confidence, but this guy's not 100%. And when it comes out, you're going to have to apologize to him. And eventually it did come out, and people had to apologize to him. But my point on Austin is, I think Craig's got to sit down with him and say, hey, are you okay? What's going on here?
Yeah. I watched your show, McGuire Monday, this week with our friend Julie Stewart-Binks. And, you guys had a wonderful conversation about this team. You had at one point speculated how back on track this team would be if they could pick up these next 6 points. Well, they've lost the first two.
Yep.
And, they're going to do a home and home with Buffalo this weekend. And Buffalo is one of those teams that has a lot of goals scored on them, but I'm not sure at this point Toronto will muster the firepower to compete with that. Certainly not in Buffalo's building, and maybe not back at home.
I got bad news for them. The Buffalo Sabres are an outstanding penalty killing team. They're number one in the league. Their power play is 6th in the league. They're better than Toronto on both facets of the game, and they're getting energy right now from their guys. I give them a lot of respect. Lindy didn't mail it in on this team. And a guy like Alex Tuck didn't mail it in, and Rasmus Dahlin didn't mail it in. Those guys are playing hard. They played hard in Montreal. The other night, they played really hard in Montreal. And I give Montreal's off to a real good start. They're doing unbelievable right now. But I would say this about Toronto. If people in Toronto think that those are 2 easy points in Buffalo on Friday night, you better buckle up. I'm telling you, they're not. And Saturday night will not be any easier in Toronto. I'll tell you that right now.
No, because we're getting this in the chat right now too. The Buffalo Sabres love to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's the highway series for them. It's the same reason they play well against Montreal. These are the teams they're closest to with the biggest history, and they've been living in the shadow of Montreal and Toronto for all of these years. There's nothing those guys, that Buffalo team, that high-powered offense wants to do more than skate circles around the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they are poised to do it both nights.
I love what you just said, Kyle, because it's right on. Here's one other thought. We were talking about Jack Hughes versus Austin Matthews, how Jack dominated him tonight. He definitely did.
Yeah.
What do you think Tage Thompson wants to do on Friday? You think Tage Thompson doesn't want to be on Team USA at the Olympics? He's going to go, I'm making a statement here.
Yeah.
What do you think Alex Tuck wants to do? He wants to be on Team USA too. He's going to want to make a statement. That's the part of this thing that I've been through the Olympics a lot. I've done 8 of them. And I'll just tell you, like, the Olympic years are different. They're really different. And people don't really want to talk about it much, but there's internal competition for these jobs, whether it's Canada, US, Sweden, Finland, the big countries. When Russia was in, same thing for them. And I'm telling you, guys take it almost to the level where it's almost a vendetta. Like, really? You're supposed to be better than me? Not happening tonight. No way. And so Austin's got to buckle up in all these games. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, it's almost like the other American players will be using this as an audition constantly, and it is the correct litmus test for them to be compared to directly, and they're going to be locking up their positions on those teams. And regardless of that, even stepping further away from that, the Leafs are always a target. They're always a target for every team in the league because they played the defending Stanley Cup champion better than anyone else in the last playoffs. They made the big offseason move, and we're not going to beat it to death. They miss Mitch Marner right now. There's just no two ways about it. But even I don't even know that that's the biggest issue. There's a macro problem with the identity of this team. They have no cohesive direction in any facet of the game, from the special teams quotient you talked about with Julie, which is an all-important and very powerful measurement. You're not wrong about that, to just looking lost and bunching up on the ice and not finishing checks and getting beaten low. And the list is endless and it's exhausting.
Going into tonight's game, the Leafs special team quotient was 96.7. That's adding the penalty kill percentage to the power play percentage. Mm-hmm. If you want to win this cup or compete for it, you have to be at 105. They're 9 behind. They're 9 percentage points behind where they need to be. That's a lot at this time of the year. That's number one. Number two, and this is really important, I'm seeing a team that wants to work, but still hasn't figured out how to work. Like, you could see they want to compete. Morgan Riley, he's competing, but where are the other guys? Like, Brandon Carlo's a good player. Where's Brandon Carlo?
Yeah.
Jake McCabe is as tough as any guy you'll ever meet. I'm telling you. Jake McCabe is struggling.
And not playing tough. Like, he's not. No. He didn't have a good game tonight at all. Okay, Pierre, so the Leafs will be skating 2 more times before they get on the ice in Buffalo Friday night. What does the practice look like tomorrow if this team is to get back on track? What does it look like Friday before the game?
Yeah, no, I'd go hard tomorrow. Tomorrow would be not a mail-in practice. Tomorrow would be a hard in your face, grind it out, get in the corners. Let's start teaching fundamentals. I'd spend a lot of times in the power play, especially once I'm in the zone. And I'd spend a lot of time on little fundamentals. The one part of the Leafs game that is good is their face-off play. They're close to 55% for the year, which is pretty good right now. That probably has them in the top 9 in the league. So that's a positive. But I'd be grinding tomorrow. Tomorrow would be a good skate, a real good skate. Go easy on Thursday and go into Buffalo on Friday and go do a job. Go do a job.
Pierre, I have to say, I'm going back to the chat again because we're getting some really good analysis from the viewers tonight. And this is something we kind of touched on here tonight. Trend Mammoth says Leafs look tougher on paper, but don't actually seem to be any tougher to play against. And that's exactly what we speculated. Hey, this roster holding the sheet up preseason, this is a tougher hockey team, more built in Berube style. It is not looking that way at all in actual practice right now. They look softer, as another commenter said. And it's the truth. These aren't even upset fans making unreasonable critiques of this hockey team. It's right there in front of all of us.
And that's why you asked me about practice tomorrow. We're going to try whatever we can to prod the players, prod the staff, prod the organization, and we're showing up to compete. And I've had to do some of those in different situations. They're not always the most fun, but they do work. As long as you get your guys to buy in, they do work. And I think the guys are embarrassed by tonight. If they're not embarrassed after tonight, then I'm concerned about them. I really am. And I get it. They all walked in with their Blue Jay stuff on. I understand that. That's great. That's good. That's cool. Okay. It's really cool. It didn't translate. The energy from the Blue Jays didn't translate to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'd put all that stuff away right now and start showing up ready to play.
Yeah. I mean, any sort of theatrics, any sort of, they need to really buckle down right now and kind of start from scratch, kind of rebuild a game plan from scratch. As you said in that practice, they need to go back to the very fundamentals of hockey and establish an identity and decide now. Like, it's not too late. They're not that far behind the pace. It's not that big of a deal, but this cannot continue. But if they do not establish an identity going forward in all facets of the game, they will fall out of contention and lose any shred of confidence that they're holding on to right now.
I completely agree. I could not agree more.
Pierre, I think we should cut it there. My blood pressure can only take so much. No, I would listen. You have to be critical when critical is due. And I think we were fair tonight in our assessment of this hockey team. We're getting great people in the chat, but great people pointing out good, positive, sorry, not positive, but very fair comments. Leafs Nation's about to blow up when the Blue Jays playoff run is complete.
Yeah.
And I don't know that this hockey team is going to get better on the ice anytime soon, and they're only going to get worse when that happens. They have about 7 to 10 days to figure out an identity, and that's that.
I know general managers are always looking to make their teams better, but sometimes they take a little bit longer because they're comfortable where the team is. There's no way Brad Treliving or Keith Pelley can be comfortable with where this team is right now. There's no way. And when they're not comfortable, they start looking to make changes. They do. This will not affect the coaches. This will be player to player transaction. That if they make changes, that's what it's going to be. I'm just telling you.
Okay, Pierre, before we get going, I'm going to address one more thing in the chat, and I want your opinion on this to sign us off. The comment states, Pierre, they should have been embarrassed a long time ago, but it doesn't seem they learned, and no one ever gets mad. Now, let me ask you this. Anthony Stolarz just got mad, but he's the goalie, and sometimes those messages don't resonate with the skaters as well. So if they're not listening to Stolarz, who needs to get mad next? Not from the coaching staff, on the ice. And let's exclude Austin Matthews from this, because I don't know that he's that guy that will, we're kind of pointing to him tonight, but let's exclude him and let's exclude the goalies from the conversation. Who on this team needs to get mad next to wake these guys up?
John Tavares. Fellas, I was a captain here. I passed my captaincy on to Austin Matthews because of the respect I have for Austin and the future of this organization because of Austin. I did that because I love all you guys and I care about all you guys. By the way, I also signed a contract extension and took less money to stay here because I believe in each and every one of you. I believe in the organization. I love the city. I love the team. I want to make it to another level. But I need you guys to help. And right now, we're not helping one another. So let's get after this darn thing. And that's what I'm convinced that Johnny has to take this thing over. Not as it's Austin's team as a leader. It is. But you asked me to divorce him from the process. The next guy that has to step up and stand and deliver is John Tavares.
Pierre, I couldn't agree more, and we will leave the audience with that. Toronto Maple Leafs lose 5-2 on home ice to the New Jersey Devils. They have a home and home with Buffalo this weekend. And the entire Leaf Nation is watching and waiting for this team to forge an identity. You've been watching Toronto Sports Rush. My name is Kyle Andrew, joined once again tonight by Pierre McGuire. Thanks for joining us.